builders making moves, the projects shaping the culture, the unfiltered thinking behind it all. This is Let's Ride, the weekly podcast from BMX that takes you inside the Onchain world. Welcome to the ride.
Hello, GM, everyone. Welcome to the Let's Ride live stream on the BMX DeFi account. That was such an awesome introduction video. I'm so excited to see, Dees, how much we've grown this live stream over the past several months. I mean, we have a lot of content and a lot of episodes we've done now. I can't hear you.
Sorry. Yeah,
I just saw Beethoven's mouth moving and wasn't sure.
Yeah, default mute. Yeah, no, it's been really great. We've had some powerhouses on as well as tapping into the on-chain media culture. So up my alley again in the DeFi world. So super happy to have Definitive on today.
Super excited.
Get the disclaimer out of the way. Anything we chat about today is purely for educational purposes, non-financial advice. So please do your own research. Even if it looks as easy as cool as we're about to present it today. But I'm excited to dive in.
Absolutely, same here. And Dennis, we're so happy to have you on today. And we have a pretty stacked agenda here. So we'll go ahead and dive right in and start with introductions. So curious to hear, by the way, for those watching and listening, if you don't know at this point, I'm Rachel. I go by Rachel Onchain in the base community. So just to get my intro out of the way. So curious, Dennis, like what your kind of, if you can give an introduction to yourself, who you are, what your role is on the Definitive team, and kind of give an overview of what Definitive is.
Of course. Yeah, thank you so much for having me today. I'm
Absolutely.
Dennis. I'm one of the co-founders of Definitive. My background, I'm an engineer by trade. Spent basically the last 8 years of my life building trading software and trading strategies with code. Ended up at Coinbase at some point in time and built out a lot of their institutional product as it is today. And then took a lot of that technology that is powering both the institutional and the retail trading side now, and moving it on chain behind Definitive. And that kind of leads us to the vision for Definitive, which is taking the most powerful trading infrastructure and allowing it to be used with on-chain assets, all on-chain assets. Which is great because now you don't need to rely on a really powerful centralized exchange to get access to all sorts of crypto exposure.
I love it. And another follow-up question I have to what Definitive is, why are pros trading on your platform? And maybe you can kind of give the origin story here and share why people have started using this.
Yeah. So back when I was working at Coinbase, we had a lot of active DeFi employees. They wanted to move a lot of money on chain. And at the same time, I was also advising for some liquid hedge funds that are operating on chain. And everyone basically had the same problem. They said they, wanted to move millions of dollars around and buy assets, but they were facing a lot of problems just bridging and trying to figure out how to execute their orders, what dexes to use, how do I get the best price, how do I not get front run by MEV, a lot of gotchas when trading on chain. And from a trader's perspective, you should never even be thinking about that. You should only be thinking about, am I buying this asset right now? Does it fit my thesis? Do I want to go long or short here? And you should try to rely on your infra or your platforms to minimize that price impact and those execution gotchas. So, just observing people struggle, felt like there was a huge need that was preventing a lot of the smart money from getting on chain. And that kind of ended up being the vision for Definitive. A lot of pros like using us because we take that sort of smart money approach when it comes to trading on chain. We provide them the advanced order types that they need to really move size. And I'll demo one of those advanced order types later.
I would love that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. But at the same time, we also provide them the UX that they're most familiar with. And the UX that a lot of the smart money and instos and whales really like is almost like a CeFi-like UX where they just log in. They don't have to whip out their hardware wallet or sign anything to trade. They just click trade. Everything is managed behind a portfolio. They can see P&L, and then they can use advanced order types. So stuff that is usually taken for granted when you're trading equities or you're trading in like a pro interface and centralized finance basically never existed in DeFi until Definitive.
Wow, that's awesome. And I apologize for getting distracted for a moment. So my puppy is actually eating one of my my mic covers as we're live here. One of the very fun things you can't do anything about when you're live streaming. Yeah. Oh, by the way, I want to give a shout out to all those of you who are tuning in and watching. GMBM, we got 0x Gougy in the audience. By the way, I just want to say for anyone watching here, everyone's welcome to drop a question, comment. We do pay attention to the live stream chat, and we're happy to ask questions. And towards the end, we'll have more of a dedicated portion for that, but we will be paying attention to the live chat. The next question I have for you is, how does someone automate trading, a trading strategy on Definitive? And maybe you can kind of give an overview of like deployment strategies.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people, when they want to take a large position, they may come at it from a few ways. So, the most basic way is to just slam in a huge market order. And then maybe I can share my screen here and walk through some of this together.
Yeah, let's do it.
Give me a sec here. Cool, I think you guys can see my screen now.
Yep.
So, let's say I'm very bullish on this token called Banker on Base, and I want to buy, maybe this much of it, like 500K of it. A lot of people will come at it and say, okay, I just want to buy it immediately. Let me put in a market order. But if you see here, putting in a market order, you're going to have a huge amount of price impact, which means basically you're going to move the price significantly. And someone with Banker ready to sell will probably immediately sell into that candle. And then you would have just immediately lost money. So what a lot of these whales and institutions really want to do is they want to ease into the market and take that position behind the scenes, almost like a ninja, very quietly. So what they can do then is to use a limit order and just sort of place that right below market price so that if the price ever dips below that limit price, we fill them incrementally against that limit price. And then finally, our most popular order type, which is the TWAP order. This allows you to break up a large order into many small chunks. So imagine I have $1 million order and I want it to execute over the next day. But I'm not going to sit here and divide $1 million by 24 hours and then execute 24 trades every hour. I have to sleep. What our automation in our advanced order type, the TWAP, does is it basically does a time-weighted average price execution. And we have an algorithm that breaks up that $1 million order into thousands of small orders that execute throughout the day with randomization so that you only touch the market very silently, very small every time you do that. So I can demo this order really quickly.
Yeah, let's do it.
An order that's live on Banker. And this is effectively what it looks like. I started this order a couple hours ago, and you can see that each one of these little dots on the chart is a small trade that was performed, swapping CBBTC for Banker. Now, if all of this went in as one trade, you would have seen it materialize on the candle, and it'll be a huge trade. But because I've broken it into very small trades, pretty much nobody knew I was buying Banker at this time. And nobody would know like my ultimate size. And you can see our algorithm ended up breaking up this trade into $20 to $40 trades each time, happening about once every minute. So this basically allows our institutions and whale customers to put in, $1 million, $2 million into some of these long tail tokens, and you would never even know that they've done it because they're so quiet about it using advanced order types.
Wow. Well, yeah, thank you so much for walking us through this. Deez, I'm not sure if you have anything you want to chime in with here.
No, I'm holding off till we get into the underlying, the engine, how it actually works in the background. But I think we're easing into this. We're TWAPing into the episode, if you will. So I'm loving the pace.
Yeah, I can definitely talk about what happens behind the scenes when you place a trade, because there is a bit of magic here. I think a lot of people, when they're trading on chain, they're used to like a Uniswap-like interface where they have to whip out their wallet, connect their wallet, type in a trade, and then they get an approval transaction that they need to sign, and then they need to sign one more transaction to actually get the trade to fire. And then that those assets settle into their self-custody wallet. At Definitive, we have a different type of architecture. We have what's called virtual accounts, and those are powered by smart contracts. So for every new user that signs up to Definitive, we deploy a virtual account for them in the form of a smart contract. That smart contract's basically programmatically assigned to be you as the owner, whatever wallet you bring. And then from then on, that smart contract is responsible for all your trading. It has a little bit of code in there that says Definitive is responsible for being your trade executioner, and only Definitive. And then we have an entire off-chain trade execution engine that's proprietary that basically hooks into that smart contract to process the trade. So when I just put in that large banker trade, every one of those small $20 to $40 trades is being computed and simulated and processed by our off-chain engine. Think about it as like your own quant team behind the scenes, observing the entire market in real time, and then knowing when to fire off those small orders to get you the most return on your trade.
That's awesome. And so with the TWAP, it's kind of using those algos in the background on your end to time when the entry is great. And so with these limit orders, what's going on there? So back before we had Definitive, savvy individuals would probably have to go set some very tight V3 positions to get in and out and then monitor them, or maybe we're using a service like Revert to kind of program an auto exit. How do the limit orders kind of work? Is there a proprietary mechanism there, or is it more straightforward where it's setting more targeted liquidity positions?
So right now, our limit orders are not resting or passive limit orders, but they're opportunistic limit orders, I'd say. So what we do is we keep your limit intent off-chain. So basically, it's like you whispering to me, hey, I want to have a limit order that fills at this price. And then our off-chain engine will wait until the market can achieve your price for the limit order. We're going to basically quote the market, not just on-chain liquidity, but also off-chain liquidity in the form of market makers to see if they can fill your limit price. And if someone does say, hey, I can definitely fill this trade, we will execute that trade. Whether or not the price lands on chain or not, or you see it in the chart, it will fill because the market maker can provide that price. So while we don't have resting limit orders in the form of like V3 range orders with tight ranges, our limit orders do allow for really opportunistic pricing of where the market is in reality and not just where people see it in the chart.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And then just setting kind of slippage parameters there, and so people can control what they're willing to,
totally.
to do.
Yeah, I think what we found is, nobody wants to think about what slippage even means or what price impact even means. I've asked so many on-chain traders, like, tell me the difference between slippage and price impact, and nobody could really tell me. It's a very difficult concept that's like not really present in centralized finance trading that is present in DeFi just because of the idiosyncrasies of trading on-chain and using blockchains. So what's cool about our off-chain engine is we do all these simulations before every little trade. Even if it's $1 trade to $1 million trade, we do a simulation for it. And in that simulation, because of the power of blockchain, you can basically predict how that trade will go in a fraction of a second. In that simulation, we pull all the metrics that the trade should go in the perfect blue sky scenario. And then we basically lock down the actual execution of your trade with minimum amount outs, slippage, maximum price impacts, those sort of metrics to prevent anyone from front running you, to prevent any minor extracted value from getting extracted from your trade. And then you get closer and closer to the true value of your trade.
That's fascinating. Yeah, I didn't know the intricacies of behind the hood, so that is really good to know. And I guess we have next on our agenda here is we can segue into the UX advantages. So some of the things that traders won't find.
Well, Deez, real
else.
quick, I did have one question around the strategies. Like, Dennis, if you have like any input on like strategies for beginners versus people who have more expertise and are more seasoned, like, do you have any like words of wisdom for like people who are just getting started?
I think a lot of beginners would actually benefit from just using the TWAP as more of a dollar cost average mechanic. So even, my partner here at home, I've asked her to buy Bitcoin or CBBTC on chain just regularly, but she always forgets. So, one thing you could do is just set like, a 30-day TWAP to buy a little bit of Bitcoin every day. and then you can set it and forget it, and then you can schedule the next month when that first TWAP ends. That's one way to just slowly accumulate. And then when you see, Bitcoin price action become a bit irrational, or any coin for that matter, you can then set a limit to sell or a take profit to sell. I think that works great for beginners to sort of swing trade like that and accumulate slowly during times of high volatility. For pros, I think the difference is they're going to know exactly what to look for in the markets and have targets in mind for prices of when they should sell. So they would basically be examining when is there resistance, when is there thinner liquidity in the concentrated markets, when were there a lot of buyers, where is the volume weighted average price of the current set of holders. Those are levels that they have in mind where they would want to take profit or maybe even take on more exposure. So for that, pros would probably be using our take profit, our stop orders, those sort of advanced orders after taking their positions with TWAPs.
Perfect. Okay, great input. I love it. All right, Deez, back to you.
I think we can probably segue into the UX, I know there's a little bit of security in there. I guess for a beginner coming in, maybe a hardcore on-chain user that comes and creates an account and it says, hey, we're gonna have this vault. This vault is gonna manage for you. How do they go about thinking that? So the non-custodial fashion. I know we only have control of this, but maybe we can dig in just for a second on how that is non-custodial when you're depositing funds into Definitive, what that actually means.
Yeah, the non-custodial element comes from the fact that we use smart contracts to hold your funds. And then the smart contract is audited and proven to have only you as the owner of those funds. So only you, whatever wallet you bring, can withdraw from that smart contract. So it's not like some EOA with a private key that can be passed around between, Definitive employees or any of our servers or you yourself. I know a lot of other applications use that technique, but for us, we focus heavily on security. We talked to our early users who were all whales and instas, and they highlighted that they really liked having a codified smart contract that protects their funds rather than, a generated private key that can ultimately be leaked. So that's sort of our security stance and how we maintain self-custody. In terms of the kind of UX gains, I think, I mentioned one earlier where you don't have to approve and sign for every trade. We were one of the first trading platforms that implemented account abstraction. That's the kind of scientific term for it, but the real meaning behind it is basically virtual accounts. You never have to think about approving and signing. You just basically click buttons and then the virtual account will execute for you. And then we were also one of the first, and I think probably still the only platform with advanced trading to offer gasless trading from a virtual account.
That's awesome.
All the other trading terminals today require you to deposit gas as your first asset. So you'll see if you wanted to go trade on Photon or Axiom, they require you to deposit Sol to trade on Solana. But on Definitive, you can deposit any Solana asset if you want to trade on Solana. And then we sponsor the gas on behalf of your trade because of the smart contracts that we wrote. And then we ultimately just debit the gas cost from your trade while also trying to minimize that gas cost. So that's going to be, I think, a really powerful advantage, especially for newcomers. I think there's a population of traders on chain right now that's very on-chain native. So they know, I need to bring Solana with me everywhere I want to trade on Solana. But probably the next magnitude of traders that are yet to come on chain are not going to have this concept of gas or even want to think about it. They're actually going to show up with Apple Pay, USD, want to buy a token no matter what. And this is the part where our gasless infrastructure and our account abstracted infrastructure will shine.
Awesome. So to recap, we've gone over some light security so far. We've done a light demo actually on screen where we looked at taking a TWAP and setting limit orders. And then now I think we can probably look into the future and what's exciting coming up for Definitive. So we already have an amazing product that people can come on and use, but what's just around the corner?
Yeah, I think there's on the feature side, there's probably two near-term features we want to launch. Right now, we're trying to support cross-chain trading. And today, Definitive actually supports trading on 8 chains, including Solana and HyperEVM and Base, the 3 most popular chains today. but we don't yet support trading assets between the two. So what that means is like if you have like Fartcoin on Solana and you want to trade it for Banker on Base, you're going to have to sell that Fartcoin to USDC, bridge your USDC using some bridge, wait maybe 20 minutes, and then have your USDC land on Base and then buy Banker with that. That's a lot of steps for someone who's unsophisticated or a normie to figure out. It's also very intimidating because for a moment when you're bridging, your funds basically evaporate. And you're just sort of praying
that's like not a great feeling. It's like, oh no.
Yeah. So I think we're basically going to eliminate that entire ordeal and allow you to instantly swap in size from an asset on Solana to an asset on Base using our proprietary cross-chain solver and engine. Behind the scenes, we're implementing pretty much every bridge as well as market makers and relayers. And then we're also providing the solves on both sides and settling the swap instantaneously. So I think that'll be really powerful, allow people to be a bit more fluid on chain. Hopefully that's going to launch before the end of the month. We think it's going to be a difference maker, especially for people who integrate our API and want to offer it to their customers as well. The second feature is our mobile app. So we actually have a mobile app in both app stores right now, but it doesn't have trading enabled. It's just basically a way to view your portfolio. But setting the stage for a trading enabled mobile app is really important for us. As I hinted towards sort of the next magnitude of users that come on chain, they're all going to be coming from Apple Pay and sort of non-chain native technologies. And having our mobile app present in both app stores, able to have on-ramps for all different kinds of fiat providers is going to just allow people to access, our powerful platform for any token on chain with cross-chain technology instantly. They won't even know that they're operating on chain. They're just going to deposit cash and then be able to buy, Fartcoin, Mudang, be able to buy some Hyper EVM token, and they're not even going to need to worry about getting onto Hyper EVM. If you ask somebody how do I get my assets, yeah,
it's like people should just be able to execute and do the things that they want to do without having to worry about like technical complexities and like what's happening on the back end. Like you don't need to know, how the internet is connecting you to your favorite websites. You just want to go and like do whatever you want to do. I feel like we're kind of getting to that state of like maturity with on-chain applications like this, where that's actually being more implemented now. So hats off to you guys. Exactly. That's awesome. And I am curious, like just looking ahead, what things are on the horizon for Definitive? Like, I see in my notes here, cross-chain, mobile, trench mode, normie mode. Like, can you kind of dive into all the things that are on the horizon here?
Yeah, I want to touch on trench mode. I think that's really interesting. So right now, off the demo I showed in our platform today, it's very much an advanced trading vibe. I'd say it caters towards whales and institutions and people who really want to use it more as like a portfolio manager and like an OTC desk. But there's an audience of traders on chain right now where they're basically trading low cap coins, newly launched coins from launch pads, pre-bonded coins, just anything you can imagine that is like a fast 1 second chart that goes up only and then crashes. That's, scary to trade, but at the same time, fun to trade. People get a rush from it. And there's a big audience for tapping into that. And for us, we're slowly transitioning elements of our UX to better service these trench traders. So I think, the first thing is faster charts. We're going to have better discoverability, allow people to filter more smartly on like the pre-bond assets that they like to trade. And then ultimately, we're going to have fast execution. You need to be able to make those swaps in under a second and not worry about fees or slippage and price impact. Being able to do that on a multi-chain level, imagine, you would have like Axiom, who only supports Photon today, except on every chain, and with cross-chain compatibility, and with a mobile app. That's kind of our end vision with trench mode. And it should be just a more powerful trench experience than what's out there today. So it'll take us about maybe 2 months to get there, though. There's a lot to build, but we're pretty bullish on it kind of disrupting the space.
That's so exciting. And Deez, we got a question in the audience, but yeah, I'll pass it over to you.
Okay, yeah, I wanted to, I love the commitment to the roadmap of just the user experience. And it seems like it's just all hands on deck to just expand in that sense. For some of the DeFi hardcore folks out there, so if we're giving out some of this smart contract quarterbacking, if you will, to execute these things, will there be more maybe AI bot integration that allows rehypothecation? So say I'm dumping a bunch into my Definitive account and I'm just waiting for a limit order, or maybe it's just sitting there idle. Have you guys thought about like resting state, putting stuff to yield? I know a lot of on-chain products are looking at rehypothecation and things like that, but it seems like with these smart contract wallets, you guys are in a prime position to do something like that as well.
Yeah, you're totally right. And this has definitely been on the roadmap. We've chatted with two teams, chatted with Banker and chatted with Mamo. Both provide really powerful agents. Banker is a more trading related agent and Mamo is a more yield related agent. And I think in the future of Definitive, let's say you just have some dry balance waiting for an order or just chilling in your trading account on Definitive, you could basically assign Mamo as a manager of those dry balance positions to then go yield automatically. And this would basically be a native integration with Mamo in Definitive. And it's not limited to Mamo, right? Maybe you have another agent that you prefer to manage your yield. We can go ahead and add that to our agent marketplace or whatever. And same thing for Banker. Like imagine a little chat box that shows up within Definitive where you can talk to your Banker bot that has access to your Definitive account via our API. And then it can execute trades using Definitive's API directly in your portfolio just through text. So now you have your personal trading concierge, awesome, so to speak. And then you never have to think about like clicking around on the screen at all. You just talk to your Banker bot to do it. So I think those are really powerful elements that are very normally friendly and that will bring more people into the space because it'll make trading a bit more fun and less intimidating.
That's exciting. So, and also for some of the hardcore DeFi folks as well who are doing so much on-chain activity, do you envision bigger profiles coming in and maybe using Definitive to maybe keep some of their proprietary trading or strategies to themselves? Since so much of this is off-chain executed, it seems like it would be refreshing for some of these whales who are coming in that have these people following them all everywhere they go to maybe use Definitive as at least a form of curtains on the window, if you will.
Yes.
We've had a couple privacy-oriented guests in the past. I know it's not completely oriented about that, but might be an unintended benefit as well.
Yeah, we've spoken to a lot of whales that previously used CalSwap to trade using the CalSwap TWAP. But the moment you put in that CalSwap TWAP order, everyone on chain is able to view it and know that, hey, this person is selling $1 million over the next 2 hours. So they can front run you very visibly. It's almost like you're screaming it from the rooftops that you're doing this trade. And that's the opposite of what traders should be doing when they trade. When they put in a TWAP at Definitive, however, nobody knows how large that trade is, how much you're selling, how fast you're selling. They only see those small orders pop up every now and then that represent subsections of your TWAP. So the entire intent is very private and hidden right from the get-go. And that's why a lot of institutions prefer this, because institutional wallets are huge. People follow them all the time, and it's very hard to obfuscate and stay private. But Definitive does it the best in terms of what they've evaluated today.
And what is one quick note on there, what is the tag on there if I'm tracking on Nansen or something like that? Does it show us going into a Definitive wallet so we know people are using the pros, or what's the on-chain
I think Nansen does
there,
tag Definitive vaults, but I don't think they tag all of them. So I think they figured out how to tag some of them, maybe an older version of our smart contract. But I'd have to go and check. I know they tag like smart money trader sometimes on our vaults, but that's not always true for all traders.
Yeah, well, it's great exposure, and even tracking back even sooner when you were chatting about that kind of onboarding from centralized exchanges and having an app where you can trade long tail immediately. Sounds like just a great partnership opportunity for any projects that are looking to launch tokens, because so much is win listing. Maybe it turns into win definitive.
Yeah.
Win definitive.
Hope so. Yeah.
Awesome. And looks like, okay, so a question we have from 0x Gauji: does Definitive support trailing stops?
Today we don't. That's been a very highly requested feature. I've also not seen it very much in DeFi. But I think upcoming, our next two advanced order types are scale orders, which are being able to place like range limit orders, and then trailing stops, which is really popular. The other one I want to do is a combined stop loss take profit on your entire position. That way you can have sort of boundaries to your position, whether it goes up and down. You can rely on our automation to get you out of that position.
Got it. And by the way, Gaoji, I went ahead and sent you a link if you want to join our live stream and join in the conversation live here. Excuse me. And then also, Dennis, what are you personally excited about in the crypto space, aside from Definitive, of course? Is there anything else like that you're very bullish on or excited about?
Yeah, I think probably two things top of mind today. It would be the hybrid EVM space. I think for the very first time, there is a chain that is backed by a revenue generating product that is trying to transition as much revenue to their token and to their chain as much as possible. And I think that will do wonders for observing what kind of ecosystem, how that ecosystem flourishes because of that mechanic. Previously, ecosystems have not done that. If you look at all the other chains that have existed since, other than maybe Solana and like Avalanche, other ecosystems have not really invested money directly into their ecosystem with a token and making it basically go up only and capitalizing it that way. It's, I won't name any chains, but other L1s are very extractive in that regard. And Hyper EVM ethos seems to be the opposite. So I'm very bullish to see how that model translates, because our token also wants to start doing a buyback eventually, and then we want to follow that model as well. And then the second thing I'm most excited about would be on-chain tokenized stocks. I think that introduces a whole new asset class on-chain, although it will take some time to figure out because there are liquidity issues and like access issues. But tokenized stocks just gives one more vehicle to speculate, and then it becomes sort of a battle between, would you rather trade stocks off-chain at your brokerage, or would you rather trade stocks on-chain? Because at your brokerage, only like maybe US customers can trade the US NASDAQ stocks. But globally, now with on-chain tokenized stocks, anyone, even people in Asia, China, Europe, can now trade on-chain stocks and get exposure to the US stock market. And that's been basically a limiting factor until now. It's already 2025, you can't internationally trade stocks. It's crazy to even think about, right?
That's wild. And I am curious, this isn't on the agenda for today, but I'm curious if there's like a specific area of the world where your community has been rallying more. Like, do you feel like you have a lot of your audience in the US or more abroad? Like, or is it kind of like all over?
I think a lot of our audience and traders are in Europe and America. And then we have a few audience, few like kind of broker type users in Asia who sort of trade as like an OTC desk or manage other people's money that really like using Definitive features for that.
That's awesome. Go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, from the builder standpoint, I mean, there's so many, it's such a powerful distribution vehicle as well as tooling. If there's builders out there that are looking at this and say, man, would love more access to that, or have my project enabled on Definitive, how do you go about people approaching that? Do you want them to get in touch with you directly, visit the Discord? Are there certain mechanisms as far as stepwise follow documentation, or what advice would you have for the builders out there that are fascinated by this tooling?
I think there's two ways builders can engage. I think the first method is, do you want to integrate Definitive as an advanced trading building block in your own product, which is itself very powerful? That can be done directly through our API, which is open and accessible. Just generate an API key after logging in. And the second way is, if you want your product integrated into Definitive, sort of like an AI agent operating behind the scenes, or maybe you're a source of data that we could use to educate the trader. For either of those, I think you just hop into our Discord and open a support ticket, probably the most safe way to get in touch. And then, I read Discord pretty much every day, multiple times a day, and answer all support tickets. So that's the best way to reach me.
Got it. And I also want to share, just links and resources. Like, where's the best place for people to kind of dive in and go ahead and learn more and do their own research?
Yeah, we have a docs page at docs.definitive.fi. Has a lot of guides on how to get started, and also a good overview of our product today. We don't yet have like educational videos or whatnot, but if you hop into Discord, happy to chat with you and sort of walk you through the product personally. I've done a lot of demos just like this, a screen share, 15, 20 minutes walking someone through the product, and then they end up being a very happy customer, personally being onboarded by me.
Well, that's very cool. And Dennis, can you just reiterate like where folks can find you and connect with you? You said on Discord, but what's your handles on social so they can find you?
Yeah, my handle on X is Dennis_Qian, Qian. So feel free to DM me there. DM's open. And then I think that's the only place I'm really present. I don't have a Farcaster, but you can always hop into Discord. I'm 0xDQ in Discord.
Got it. Awesome. Well, Dennis, I feel like we've gone through a majority of the agenda here. I'm not sure if there's anything else that you wanted to go through, or D's if you had anything. But I did invite some community members up. I dropped this link. We have a couple folks that could potentially jump in and ask a question. So we'll see. But yeah, D's, I'll pass back to you.
Yeah, no, happy to get the guests up. I do love nerding out on the DeFi stuff, but I think we have so much of that. I really like our community vibes here at the end, because that's who we're really trying to pull into the space. So let's not waste any time and yeah, bring them up. Let's see what questions have been.
I'm not sure
accruing.
if anyone has joined yet. I dropped the link, so we'll see. But I mean, I don't know. We could have nobody joining. I'm not sure.
Well, if they give me the floor, I will definitely keep going. I mean, so I feel like this smart contract account and what you guys are accomplishing, this was everyone's dream, I mean, 2 to 3 years ago. So, congrats on living the dream of bringing these, this tooling on chain with the abstracted wallets. And then with such versatility, how do you guys go about establishing your roadmap? I mean, I brought up like rehypothecation stuff, agent integration, and then you have a much, it seems like wider net that you brought up with bringing in, fiat on-ramps and going cross-chain execution. How, with so many ideas that you guys can execute, how do certain, things float to the top?
Yeah, for us, I think it just comes from our user-based demand. And it also just comes from me, the founders, being one of the most active users of the product. So we sort of know what to build next and how long it'll take to get there. We try to roadmap maybe 4 to 5 months in advance, but crypto space changes so often, and the meta for on-chain trading also changes very often. So it's very hard to sort of build something too far in advance. So we just try to listen to our traders and then adjust from there.
Love it. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, we have our community members coming up. We got Rex Tracer here, you guys, from Driven Labo, who's focused on RWAs, bringing communities on chain around real world assets, which I think is a big meta right now. We also have Flannel Donut coming on. So we're going to get a lot of a wide variety of different folks coming up. We got Rex, who's working on RWAs and cars in the on-chain space. And then we have Flannel Donut, who actually comes from the film industry, who has worked on films such as Coraline, Fantastic Mr. Fox. So we'll hear a little bit wide range here of DeFi, RWAs, and film. So Rex Tracer, I don't know how long you've been on the live stream or watching or listening. Do you have any questions here for Definitive or anything you wanted to kind of add to the conversation?
Actually, I just popped in. I saw your invite, so I was like, oh yeah, don't mind if I do. So no, I was heads down getting some work done. So I thought I'd just jump in and join the conversation and see what's going on. So no questions for Definitive at the moment. But
I saw you said base fam unite, and I was like, all right, we got to get Rex Tracer up here. He's just the type who's always down to show up and support community and get involved in these kinds of conversations, and has done a lot on base, doing spaces, bringing people together, and I think you'll be at Onchain Summit, right, Rex?
That's right. Yeah,
awesome.
I am really looking forward to it, and bringing one of our cars down, so be able to take people for a ride if they're interested in seeing the.
We got the Paul Walker Ferrari coming to SF, or is it? No,
not the Ferrari.
One.
We're getting the Silvia.
Okay, you're getting one of Kendrick Lamar's whips and coming to the summit, huh?
Yeah, we'll see. I'll give him a call after this. And we'll
right. Yeah. So I don't know, Dennis or Deez, if you guys want to give a quick overview or recap of the stream to kind of touch on some of the topics we discussed.
Yeah. I can hop in. So Rec, yeah, Definitive offers like a centralized trading experience, but for on-chain tokens. So that's even for majors, for long tail assets. So for something like if you have a tokenized RWA, for example, someone could use Definitive to TWAP into the position or maybe set a limit order without disrupting a low liquidity environment, because I can't imagine certain RWA products would be very deep in liquidity. So I don't know. Are the vehicles, do you have any plans for tokenization, like to long, like not NFT based?
Yeah, they're actually fungible tokens, so they're ERC20 based. So that way we can allow more liquidity behind the tokenized shares.
Nice. So yeah, I think Definitive could empower people wanting to get exposure to those shares without disrupting whatever liquidity pools they're sitting in.
Could we do a TWAP on like a protocol level instead of an individual level with Definitive?
Yeah, I think so. You would just need to create the pools, and if they exist, we can plug in.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that actually sounds very interesting and kind of in line with some of the things that we want to do with how we're financializing these vehicles. And I still need to connect with you, Dees, at BMX.
BMX, yep. I messaged them in the BMX chat, I think several days ago about starting a chat. I would love to get you guys connected. Yeah.
The things that you guys were doing with, oh my God, the name now escapes me.
Deli Swap.
That's right. Yeah, I think that's something that would fit really well with what we're doing as well. So yeah, definitely need to get connected with both you guys.
Yeah, if Deli Swap supports your tokens, it would automatically work on Definitive.
Awesome.
I'm queuing up the Telegram chat right now. You guys get ready.
Thanks. And if I could give a quick shameless plug, we're actually doing our token launch tomorrow for our ecosystem token. So
nice, congrats.
Thank you. It's both a governance token and a culture coin. So it gets users or holders access to govern the platform and the collection. So as we add more cars or are in a position to bring more cars into the collection, it'll be up to the community which ones we select, and doing a variety of other activations for the brand. And then as a culture coin as well, it's something that we are seeing could be very, very highly used and adopted across car culture around the world. For things like we're going to be building a tipping platform directly in the app that helps people onboard people at car shows. So you find somebody who's got a car that you love and appreciate, you just enter their license plate, and it holds the tokens and the tips for them until they register their vehicle into the app. And then other things like being able to pay for services with automotive services and products in the token. So really trying to onboard the automotive culture, Base is the place to be to do it because they've got the infrastructure for all that.
This is a great opportunity.
I really love to see the intersection here of RWAs, real world assets, and DeFi. I feel like there's definitely something there, and I actually started a chat, so we're all connected here on Telegram now. Go ahead, Dees.
Oh yeah, so for a new launch like this, how soon would it appear on a platform like Definitive? Maybe we can get into a real world case study right here.
Yeah, I mean,
it would be instant. Yeah, as long as you guys deploy the liquidity. Just taking the token contract address, you can plug it into Definitive, it'll appear.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'll definitely be taking a look. We want to try and take advantage of as many of these types of protocols as we can, as early as we can. So yeah, let's do it.
Hey, I'm getting a question here. Sorry, go ahead.
I just said I'd love to see a circle back on a TGE and then directly sending users to Definitive to go trade it. I would be honestly fascinated to hear the stories versus the classic fighting in these aggregators on chain. So if it does happen, maybe we need a tell-all in a couple weeks.
I'll look out for it for sure.
Awesome. And I am getting a question from a community member here in the DMs. So, okay, these are like kind of the harder questions. I feel like these are kind of on a deeper, more personal level. But I have someone asking, Dennis, how do you stay motivated to build during challenging times? And how does your team find ways to work together if resources are tight or development of the tool becomes complicated technically? Like, how do you keep yourself motivated?
I think motivation comes from just a lot of the passion for the space. I've been in the space for about 8 years now, and you get desensitized pretty early on from the volatility of the space. The volatility is like, your industry gets shattered because FTX crashes, or maybe Bitcoin hits 3.5K and people give up on the entire industry. That's happened, dozens of times already. And you just learn to roll with the punches. So building a product in the space ultimately is a lot easier than just kind of keeping up with the industry, really, emotionally. I feel like the building part becomes a bit more comforting because it is my background. I'm a builder by trade. And I actually go towards building to find comfort from the volatility in crypto, because I know if I just continue building and producing value, that eventually it'll stabilize the crypto space with the value that I bring. And, that was the original vision of Definitive, where, if you allow that smart money and institutional money to eventually come onto the space, it's no longer just gambling and shitcoins anymore. It's actual RWAs and real economies standing up on chain. But those steps, you need to kind of contribute towards that stepping stone with apps like Definitive to get there.
Wow. Well, that was the best answer I feel like I could have hoped for, and hope that answers it to the community member who asked that, who's, I feel like some of us who are not as DeFi native might feel a little intimidated by some of this stuff. But I think it's important to come back to on a personal level, what your why is, what motivates you, what makes you passionate about it. So I appreciate kind of touching in that area. So Deez, I'm not sure if you have anything else that you want to ask or kind of go through here.
I don't have anything on my end specifically. I mean, I could talk about these resting state liquidity all day. That really fascinates me. I really want to get to a point where, after these live streams, I get so bullish on these products. It's like win Definitive bank account, right? I want to just park some stuff and be able to not have my heart beat to 130, 150, and having to move funds around in the course of 5 minutes to go utilize 3 different liquidity pools to go take advantage of some event, right? It would be much nicer to just execute and know that things are getting solved off chain with these proprietary algos through my smart account that I control through Definitive, right? I mean, those are the things that go through our brains when we're navigating the chain. So. No, I don't have anything else. Just super excited.
I actually just thought of another question too. Just around events and community stuff. Dennis, you mentioned, you're formerly Coinbase. Are there any events happening in the Base ecosystem? Like Rex and I were saying, we're excited about Onchain Summit coming up next month. And next week, you guys, is a new day one. After this, I actually got a chat with Statuette because I'm local to a new day one and I'm going to be there as well. And then we have Base Camp. I feel like there's every month there's something happening in the Base ecosystem where we could show up in person together and collaborate and build community. Dennis, is there anything on the Definitive team that you guys have prioritized event-wise or conference-wise?
Yeah, so we've been to a couple of conferences in New York where a lot of the fintech is and our financial insto clients. I'll actually be at the day one in Los Angeles as well.
Oh, wow, I get to meet you that next weekend.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah, we'll see each other for sure.
Very cool.
And then our next conference that we're going to is Token 2049 in Singapore. That's kind of our Asia expansion. And then by then, we would have more of our Trench platform built out. And it'll be a bit of a relaunch there. We'll have an event. Still locking down partners for those events, but it should be fun.
Well, Dennis, I have an invitation for you then, because this Thursday, I am doing a live stream with the head of Singapore, the head of the Singapore country on the Base team. So if you want to join, I'll screen share really quick and just show my recent thread with some of the streams I'm doing this week. Since we have a little time here, let me share my screen real quick. Sorry, I'm still like learning to navigate Riverside over StreamYard here. Okay, so yeah, let's see. We got And by the way, after this, we're all hopping on Topi Tuesdays as well. But yeah, so this Thursday, Nibel. So Nibel is the Singapore country lead. He's going to be coming on, and I'm positive that they have stuff planned for Token 2049 in Singapore. So Dennis, if you wanted to join this, I'll drop a link for you if you want to come on and come hang out with us this Thursday.
Yeah, for sure. I'd be down. Let me know.
Awesome. Well, I think that's all I have. I wanted to ask around, events and like what you guys have planned on your roadmap in the community. Rex, do you have any other questions before we wrap up here?
Nothing that I can't direct to these guys individually that won't bore everybody else, because I've just been sitting here looking at the Definitive website and, learning all about it. So yeah, definitely take that offline. But no, I mean, I guess the only thing that I've got to add is, if you're interested in RWAs, I really appreciate you checking us out. I didn't put my little thing under my name tag there, but it's based Buster coin. We're actually rebranding to just Buster. So keep an eye out for that tomorrow. That's going live. And with any luck, we'll also be live on Definitive too,
Rex, we should chat offline, because tomorrow being the launch of this, I definitely want to make sure that we do something special in the community, maybe a space or a stream or something to support you guys.
Thanks. Yeah, we're actually doing a live stream launch party for at least 3 hours tomorrow. So we'd love to have you on as a guest.
Please, drop a link.
Anything else you can do?
Absolutely. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. Let's see, I don't know how many people we have watching live, but for everyone that tunes into these every week, we appreciate you. We're grateful that you actually want to take the time to show up and learn about what's happening in the Base ecosystem and dive deeper into, Base DeFi projects as well. So yeah, that's all I have for today. Deez, I'll pass it back to you.
No, yeah, thanks so much, Dennis. I guess one last question would be, so we know where to direct users and people who want to integrate, but from a BD standpoint, what do you guys, any needs that you have? Say we had just a bunch of BD folks in the crowd watching. Any immediate integrations, any partnerships, kind of sectors that you guys are looking for immediately at Definitive, or is it kind of just build, and they will come sort of deal?
I think where we could use a lot of BD help is on the API sales side. Any app that wants to integrate advanced trading across 8 chains instantly, very fast as a feature in their own products, they can use the Definitive API. If you know any teams that could benefit from that, definitely reach out. We have already had a bunch of AI agent teams reach out looking to integrate Definitive behind their trading.
Amazing. That's perfect. That's the cherry on top for me. Other than that, thank you all for your time.
Very cool. And we are almost exactly at an hour. It's pretty good timing wise. Let's put a bow on it. And again, for everyone watching and tuning in, thank you guys so much. We'll be back next Tuesday. We're here every single week. And Dennis, super excited to meet you at a new day one in LA next weekend. Rex, thank you for joining. Deez, as always, a pleasure co-hosting with you. And we'll see you guys in the next one.